Welcome to Lynn Family Stadium as we get set to go between the Washington Spirit and Racing Louisville. Alongside Erica Ayala, I'm Maura Sheridan. Glad to have you along with us from wherever you're watching around the world. Now, this has been a very busy time for Racing Louisville. They have played Friday, Tuesday, Friday, and this will end a tough stretch for Louisville. For Washington, it's been a tough year in general. Their last win was May 1st, so they have one win on the year. It was their first game of the season, and they're just looking to right the ship, and they need to do it soon. It's been 13 straight without a win for the Washington Spirit.
Yeah, that's a long stretch of time, and this Washington Spirit squad does feel that knowing how they played against Racing Louisville in their last match, that it was a draw there. That was the return of Nadia Nadim, who is starting for Racing Louisville tonight. You heard that this squad feels confident. They know they left some points on the table last time, and they're ready to get after it tonight.
Washington in white, and in the lavender and black kits, that is the home side in Racing Louisville. So they are here in Kentucky. As Nadim is going to get the start today, she came in off the bench in the last match. That was just Tuesday for Racing Louisville, a 1-1 draw against OL Reign. And honestly, it shouldn't have been. It should have been a loss for Racing Louisville, but they got a fantastic performance from their keeper in Katie Lund. Really a star-making performance from Lund, 25 years old, and she had 12 saves. That's an NWSL record. It ties one, and I mean, right away in that game, she had to make back-to-back saves.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people saying that should have been a Racing Louisville loss, but I think they did everything to at least play to the draw, and even had a really golden opportunity at the end of that game, and just neither team able to finish, that being Racing Louisville nor the OL Reign at the waning minutes and moments of that match.
Dorian Bailey in the midfield sends it back to Sam Staub. Sam Staub, 61 straight appearances with Washington. That is a club record. Staub is just 25, and she hasn't missed a game since she entered the league in 2019. Helferty off the bounce. Washington has switched to a 3-4-3 formation in the absence of Julia Rotter and Emily Sonnet. They will go with that again today as Sanchez goes to work. Swiped away. Lauren Millay in the circle, punches it out.
And Nadim starting up front. No Jess McDonald to start for this Racing Louisville squad. But Nadia Nadim making her way back to full fitness, working her way back to a full 90. Did not start the mid-week game, but is back in the starting 11 for Racing Louisville tonight.
See Kirsten Davis up top for Racing Louisville as well. She's the one that had the lone goal for Louisville in that draw against OL Reign. She took 2 shots, 1 on target, and she made that 1 shot that she took. It was her first NWSL goal. It's exactly what Racing Louisville needed for, of course, to get that 1 point, but also they're trying to get some more players involved, and Davis is one of them.
Yeah, first regular season goal, and it was just such a smart play. Racing Louisville able to get in transition a service to Kirsten, and she went directly at her defender. And that's exactly what you want to do, especially when you have some speed, and they were in close proximity, was able to just deke a little bit, make some space, and get a good shot and get a goal.
See Kingsbury with a little bit of a turnover. We've seen this happen a couple of times now for Washington in the last matches, especially that North Carolina game where there was pressure being put on and Kingsbury and the rest of the defense got a little discombobulated. Remember, this team has not really played together too much because they had a bunch of injuries at the beginning of the year with McKeown and Baggett, etc. out. Then they had 7 players go join the U.S. Women's National Team, and they're finally getting back to that full squad. And I mean, they just returned Ashley Hatch, so it's been a difficult stretch for Washington, to say the least, and it has to start now in order to get across that playoff line. It's going to be a huge uphill battle. Davis snakes through in the box. Davis rips a shot, and it's way high.
Yeah, didn't get that curl and that curve on the ball that she wanted, but made a great move this pass, able to track it down, cuts across, not once but twice, and then just can't get fully around that shot. But you see the instincts by Kirsten Davis, maybe feeling that confidence after getting that first regular season goal the other night.
Well, already a better start for Racing Louisville, too, because in the second minute, they gave up a goal to OL Reign, and then they were playing from behind for the majority of the game before that Davis strike, so it's already looking a little bit better here in Kentucky.
It was a brutal first 15 minutes. Then they started to pull back, and then you started to wonder what OL Reign was unable to do in that match, as, again, the shots were just out of control and in favor of OL Reign, but Racing Louisville, again, did everything that they needed to do to earn a draw.
Corner coming, set piece. Savannah DeMello, as always, will be the one to take this. She was named Rookie of the Month. DeMello for the entire NWSL. She certainly has earned that. She's got 3 goals for Kim Bjorkegren's squad, and she is often a danger off these set pieces, whether it's a free kick or a corner. She'll be the one to take it. Search for Gemma Bonner. That is usually, you see Bonner there, number 4, who they look for through the air. That one a little bit low. Bonner! And that one poked all the way out. Malay tracking it down here for Racing Louisville. Malay off to Bonner. The center back comes up. Got stitches at halftime in the last match against OL Reign. She did not miss a beat, did not miss a minute of play despite having a bandage on her head.
Just showing the toughness there. Usually wearing that captain's armband for Racing Louisville.
Offside for Racing. Again, you mentioned it, Erica, but these two teams already played. 2-2 was the final score. That was June 16th, right before the international window. So Washington doesn't have the excuse of, hey, we didn't have everybody. They had everybody in that game, and they had a big lead. 2-0 was the score at halftime, and Chris Ward and his side saw that lead slip away, simply because Nadia Nadim came into the game and she scored 2 goals. Her and McDonald, when they are playing at their best, they have fantastic chemistry, and McDonald got a pair of assists in that match.
Yeah, those two together, absolutely stunning. Individually, game changers on their own. So when they're together and in top form, definitely something that Racing Louisville wants to expose. But they're running out of real estate here as far as games in hand, and really trying to find some straight out wins. They've got a lot of draws, including the other night, and feel that they can do more. And there's just things that they need to be able to clean up before Tuesday's game. You heard Bjorkegren being pretty blunt about the mistakes, including with Katie Lund, that they had made in that Friday match. But then it was Lund that was the performance for Racing Louisville.
Trinity Rodman getting back to play some defense head-to-head with Julia Lester, and now in the corner for Nadim, and she gets it to tap off Helferty.
Smart heads-up play there by Nadia Nadim. Had to run that ball down, and then is able to get it to deflect off, get a corner. Quick start here.
Howell tries to get a shot off, blocked away by Andy Sullivan. Murray gets a takeaway for Racing Louisville. High energy here in Kentucky from the home side to start. Washington has not spent really any time in their attacking third in the opening 7 minutes.
High energy, a high press here from Racing Louisville. And we asked, especially the Washington side, Chris Ward, is there any advantage in knowing that this is Racing Louisville's 3rd match in this week, in this stretch of games? And kind of said not really, because that'll happen to us next. And also you have a little bit of, as we've already seen, 4 changes in this match from the last starting 11 for Racing Louisville. So they have a few different ways that they're going to set up their formations.
Nadia Nadim shot with her left foot. It's wide.
The opportunities are there. We see DeMello here, gets this over to Nadia Nadim, makes a nice move, and is pushed out a little bit here, and can't, just like we saw before, and that was with Davis earlier, see the same thing there, just shooting that wide, not able to get the hips fully around and curl that in and give Kingsbury something to have to save.
Well, Nadim had her 3 goals in the span of 2 games, really. She came back because she tore her ACL last year. There was, they give you a time frame for how long it will take you to come back from an ACL injury. She used the shortest amount of months. She comes back, she immediately makes an impact with a PK. Then in the next game, she has the brace against Washington, and then she goes and joins Denmark in the Euros. So they haven't really had a great sample size with Nadim this year racing Louisville, and they are, Bjorkegren and company, very excited to have that finally come to fruition now.
Yeah, it's always tough when you have these international interruptions for the domestic league here, but it's something that players in the NWSL are very used to.
Helferty, back to Sam Staub. Kingsbury, Davis crashing in. Aubrey Kingsbury in net for Washington, a staple back there, unless she's with the U.S. Women's National Team. She's got 25 shutouts over the course of her career in just 91 games played. So that's a very high rate. It's the highest rate of anybody in the top 5 in the NWSL. Lester, left-footed service, broken up. Freya Olafsson trying to earn it back here for Racing Louisville. Murray does. For Nadim, bounced around. Emily Fox, good to see her back. She got a little banged up in the last match. Just kind of took a shot to the nose and only played one half of action for Racing Louisville. As Davis turns squares on that wing. Davis off a cross, bounced around. Andy Sullivan out of trouble. But Emily Fox has it controlled now for Racing Louisville. Again, 10 minutes of play, and we've really only talked about Racing Louisville because they've had the ball the majority of the time. As Murray resets, Murray was with Jamaica during the international break. And, of course, Jamaica secured a World Cup spot. It's the second time in a row that Jamaica's made the World Cup. They made it in 2019, so just trending in the right direction is Jamaica, and Murray is a huge part of that and the future.
Love to see it for the Reggae girls.
Well, they've got Bunny Shaw, and the thing is, when you have Bunny Shaw, you're probably set to go against most opponents, and Jamaica actually ran into the United States in the group stage, and the U.S. won. Trinity Rodman scored in that game, so Murray and a lot of these players have actually played against each other in CONCACAF recently. Here's an opening. Davis takes off, splits the D. Kirsten Davis past Kingsbury. Can she tap it home? No! Side of the netting.
But that's what Davis can do. Just goes and absolutely attacks that back line, makes them commit, and then utilizes her speed to just cut right through there. Look at that. And almost was able to cut that ball back. What a service through, threading that needle. But good job for Kingsbury to create a disruption just enough that caused Davis to cut that ball back and really lose that angle on net.
That is the only thing with the 3-back is if, there's limited defenders back there. So if it's lofted over everybody, it's a breakout, obviously. And so you do rely on your midfielders a little bit more to play some defense and help out there. Of course, Helferty, Bailey, Sullivan, and Rodman are the midfielders today for Washington. So they're shaking things up a little bit. And that's, again, because they've got some injuries that they're trying to deal with right now. Bailey working quickly. Washington just looking for a response here. It's been all Racing Louisville. No score yet. First half of action here, Lynn Family Stadium. Helferty, 23 years old for Washington. Looking for Sanchez. Malay gets bumped around. Lester, Rodman coming forward. Sullivan, nice touch from Rodman. Andy Sullivan leaves it for McKeown, and Lester sends it out. We will get a corner here for Washington. Oh no, looks like that bounced off a Spirit player. See, Tara McKeown had her first goal this season. It was a long time coming. She had returned, and it was her 4th match with Washington after a foot injury sustained in the Challenge Cup. And she just kept getting she kept taking about 7 shots per game without actually getting a goal. And finally, she got one, and it was a beauty of a goal for Washington last week in a 3-3 draw against North Carolina in what was a high-flying, high-scoring affair. I don't think Washington was very happy about the defensive performance, but they were happy that Mikione and Trinity Rodman were able to get on the board. Rodman got her first NWSL brace in that match.
Yeah, Rodman obviously a very special talent here for this Washington side, and someone that they have committed to in a big way, big contract for Trinity Rodman. And Mikione, as you mentioned, coming back from that injury, and Chris Ward talked about how important it is to have her back at a 90-minute fitness level where they can utilize exactly what you were just talking about, that was able to get that goal. Did not give Washington the win, but if you can get, so see, you got to wipe the dirt, not just off your shoulders, sometimes you got to wipe it off your face. It's a dirty sport. We'll see the challenge there.
Yeah, just head-to-head with Jalen Howell, 2 really exciting players for both sides. Howell, of course, was the 2nd overall pick last year in the NWSL. Gurma was the 1st pick, and she's having a great season with San Diego. And for Howell and for Racing Louisville, they're just looking to get her first NWSL goal. She's played a ton of minutes for Racing Louisville. Davis in the box stop, edges are out. Now Kingsbury flicks it up for Washington and Mikione. Another foul against Mikione, this time against Fox.
Yeah, she grabbed Fox there in the open field. Easy call there. We play on with Racing Louisville with possession.
Referee today is Rebecca Pagan. Rebecca Pagan, the referee. A little bit of a warning. See Andy Sullivan there, sometimes the captain for Washington. Oh, looks like we've got some head-to-head contact, so we're going to have the trainers come out just to...
Sullivan and Howell, they connected there. As you said, they both get a little bit of a warning. Going up for that 50-50 ball and collided heads. And as is protocol, both players just going to be observed anytime there's head contact. Of course, we saw in the Racing Louisville game on Tuesday, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Bonner had to get stitches, as you mentioned, at halftime. Still sporting super fashionable full-on wrap on her head. Make sure that those stitches stay in place. It's just a few days ago. I can't even imagine.
Well, I saw that after the fact they had a drive for charity, and somebody donated $250 for every stitch that Gemma Bonner got in her head. And so that was an extra special way to donate to charity. Again,
There
Bonner
you go.
did not miss a second of play after that. They just wrapped her up, and then she got stitches at halftime. And Bjorkegren just said, look, that's Gemma Bonner. Like, that's just who she is. She oftentimes has been praised by her head coach just for being the ultimate leader on this team when they've needed her, because she has been consistent while other players are, like Nadim with Euros. Her and McDonald have been with this team the entire season, and this is a young Racing Louisville team.
Yes, indeed. We've already mentioned Howell, but of course you've got Savannah DeMello getting a Rookie of the Month honors once again for this Racing Louisville squad. Such an important piece to the midfield. There we go, is DeMello right there. An aggressive player, likes to, play that aggressive attacking midfield position for Racing Louisville, coming out of University of Southern California, and has been a great addition, but speaks to, again, the young roster that Racing Louisville is essentially looking to break in. That includes Katie Lund, getting some opportunities here now with Racing Louisville.
Well, we haven't said her name too much today, which is probably a good thing for Katie Lund. She got a little too much action on Tuesday. It needs a little bit of a breath here as Ashley Sanchez, full 360 here for Washington. Sanchez had an assist to Trinity Rodman. It was a no-look pass against North Carolina on the first goal that they scored. In 20 minutes, we saw 6 goals on Friday between North Carolina and Washington. Bailey, big shove from Nadim, and we'll get a good spot for a free kick for the Spirit.
I think Nadim was a little tired of that possession game that Washington was playing, decided to take matters into her own hands, but got a little bit too aggressive here. And smart play there. Bailey just established position there, and Nadim at that point already committed, ran right into her. Easy foul to call, as you mentioned, in a pretty decent spot for Washington now to get something going here.
Well, Sanchez is up top. Don't be surprised if she just takes this based on how close she is. From Sanchez instead, broken up by Murray. Bounce around in the box, and then Murray clears it out. That's not the look that Washington would want off the free kick. It didn't seem like it had enough air as Kelly O'Hara resets for the Spirit. Malay.
Just showing that aggressive high press, good speed. And remember, Racing Louisville was just defending a free kick almost, square on to frame. And Malay able to make that run.
Trinity Rodman with a nifty move off the wing, service in, and Lund is able to cut that off. Looking for Sanchez.
That was something we heard Chris Ward talk about, just knowing how Racing Louisville wants to play, and if they are going to be aggressive and really put on a press, wanted his team and his players to be able to essentially feel that. When you feel that press, then you want to, swipe around them, but also wanted to be mindful that Racing Louisville will do that in kind.
Sullivan with a takeaway ahead to Mickione. Mickione waiting for numbers. Baggett has a goal this year for Washington against San Diego, and what was a loss for the Spirit. Again, 13 games without a win for Washington. They just have one win. They're the only team in the NWSL with just one victory. They do have 8 draws, and that's 2 more than anybody else in the league as well. Sanchez, shaded nicely by Olofsson. Baggett, give and go. Sanchez. Howell got in front of that. Sanchez still in the box, spinning around. Fox controls. Sullivan. O'Hara has some time. Service in. Bonner with her head. Olofsson to the midfield. Lester tripped by O'Hara.
O'Hara there, not much left to do except make sure that Racing Louisville not able to take off to the races. What you might call a professional foul there. You'll take that. Stop Racing Louisville. Make sure they don't get anything in transition.
Well, we talk so much about the Sanchez and Rodmans of the world and what they do for the U.S. women's national team. I think it's an understatement to say that Kelly O'Hara is a huge part of the U.S. women's national team. It does seem like Emily Fox for Racing Louisville is moving into a very crucial role as well. So we've got a lot of players that are not just doing it here in the NWSL, but contributing at a national stage for the United States and for Jamaica and, of course, in Europe as well.
Yeah, indeed. It's such a great league to see so many talented players, not to mention, of course, the players like Nadia Nadim as an example.
Nadim. Brooks in the box. Nadim trying to get it back. She does. Nadia Nadim takes a shot, and it's saved by Kingsbury. Blocked down as Davis tries to get the rebound.
Nadia Nadim making something out of nothing is able to win this ball back here. As you see right there, Washington, it was going to play that clear out of possession and just kind of dribble it up. Nadim disrupts that and is able to get off the first really good look on goal.
Here comes a corner. Kingsbury through the air hauls it in because Howell was wide open on that back post.
And before that, Nadim play that we just referred to was just mentioning that she's one of the players that not only plays for club and country, but also has played professionally internationally, overseas. Lots of players, regardless of what country and nationality they are finding ways to play overseas as well, and then bringing that talent back to the NWSL.
Sullivan to Trinity Rodman. Can she keep it in? Yes, Rodman turns a corner. She's got 4 goals for Washington this year. Here she comes, 20 years old, and that went off target.
You saw she was going 1v1 against Murray there. Got pulled back towards the center of the pitch here, but great job by Rodman to track this ball down. As you said, was waiting, had some players, but also Racing Louisville, they actually had the better numbers and were able to retreat and eliminate some of the opportunities. So you see Rodman cuts that back, but just as we've seen for Racing Louisville, not able to get those hips full round, and that ball goes wide. Looks like we have a player on Racing Louisville needs some attention.
Does appear to be Emily Fox. Remember, Fox took a shot to the head in the last match and just appeared to have a nose injury. Now it appears to be a lower body, just getting checked up by the training staff here. It looks like getting wrapped up. Again, Fox, they can't afford to not play her for 2 consecutive games. She played just that 1 half in the last match. And, you know, Bjorkegren, you mentioned it, he's pretty blunt. He said so many times over the course of this season that we need Fox and we need her to get touches in the box and control a lot of our matches moving forward.
Yeah, and so now we see Fox getting attended to here. The onlookers in the home crowd here. But look to be lower body.
Looks like Fox is okay. Bonner's going to come and check up on her. See if Emily Fox can continue. They do have some options on the bench if needed. Rebecca Holloway would probably be the player to come in if Fox cannot go, but walking around, it appears like she's all set.
Just needed a little bit more reinforcement on that leg there. Perhaps not sure if it would be quad or hammy, but the wrap was in the thigh area from what we could tell.
Again, all the fans here at Lynn Family Stadium, they've had a fun week of soccer. OL Reign, again, that was quite the match, all things considered. Louisville just hung in there, the entire time. We're outshot 25-6, just had the 1 shot on target, and yet it was a draw. Lund with a fantastic performance, and also defensively, Racing Louisville just kind of stifled every opportunity that OL Reign had. Of course, Reign have some legendary players, Fishlock, Tobin Heath got in, Kim Little as well.
Rapinoe is back
Rapinoe,
after
yes,
that red card suspension, and it made an immediate impact. You talked about the the goal in the 2nd minute, but it was in the first several seconds of the game that Rapinoe was able to create an opportunity for OL Reign. But again, this Racing Louisville squad, they were able to withstand most everything that OL Reign threw at them. Kim Bjorkegren has talked about that. I mean, if you look at some of the...
Rodman saved by Lund. Parries it over the crossbar.
Great header opportunity. We'll get back to that. But Katie Lund back in form from Tuesday. I said it during that match, just had great positioning, and the same can be said as Rodman has an opportunity, is falling back, still gets something. Great play by Rodman to get something, even while falling away from that ball, trying to send it the other way as Lund was kind of shadowing her movement, but didn't get it past Lund. Lund, just great positioning.
Towards the back post, Lund again has to reach up and put that over the crossbar. 6'1" is Katie Lund, and obviously has those long arms to get there if needed.
Always helps, especially when you're a keeper. But in those last 2 saves, as we'll get another look at this one, corner goes up high. And just wanted to make sure, it didn't really look like there was anyone from Washington there that could have put that away. But why chance it?
Staub. Lund again punches it out. It's still in the area. Sullivan maintains possession here for Washington. Right back at it. Lund denies. Murray through the air. Still in the box. This is danger. Howell. Brooks was coming in. Sanchez from distance. And it's too high.
We heard Chris Ward talk about expecting Louisville to play direct, also talked about having to win the aerial battles, and there was some opportunity for Washington to be on the front foot there as they had a pair of corners, but we saw what Katie Lund is able to do and disrupt any opportunity for Washington to get something, get a head on the ball and get one past Katie Lund.
Well, that was the best stretch for Washington so far in this match.
Easily.
See if they can build off of it. Lauren Millay through some contact, keeps on going. Olofsson dumps it off to Howell. Howell to Emily Fox. Again, returns to the match. Nadim pushed out by Helferty, right on her back. Julia Lester, part of that back line for Racing Louisville. Rodman. On the wing, Trinity Rodman puts on a cross, and it's a roller for Lund.
And that's exactly what Washington wants to do, be able to expose that space that exists between the midfield and that back line. With Racing Louisville playing such an aggressive game, that does open up space for Washington if they can play that ball over top. And you've seen that they've tried to set Rodman free, especially running on that left side.
Sullivan, before that a foul. That's going to go against Dorian Bailey. Nadim stumbles down to the green, and a free kick coming for Racing Louisville. Savannah DeMello has been so dangerous on these all year. Now, she's not close enough to score a goal. I guess it never say never.
Never say never. Carly Lloyd might
yes.
have to say about that.
Yeah. But she does have 2 free kick goals this year, and her services for a rookie have been very strong. From DeMello. Nothing much. Olofsson. Not on the same page. Fox is there to clean it up.
Looked like DeMello was aiming for a Howell there. Unable to connect. That one skids past Bonner.
Up towards Kingsbury. Dives, covers. O'Hara. Rodman. Sam Staub. Again, Amber Brooks, the 8-year vet for Washington, has sort of been in and out of the lineup because Sonnet has been injured. And then prior they were going with a 4-back. But because of that Sonnet injury, they've moved to 3. Sent Karina Rodriguez, the rookie, in there a couple of times, especially in the Challenge Cup. But it's pretty much been Staub, O'Hara, and Brooks when they can. Davis tries to take a shot. Staub stonewalls.
Really great play there by Staub, because just before that, we saw Nadia Nadim. She's going to attract a lot of attention from Washington, and she let that ball roll through and gave Louisville another opportunity on the attack, gave them a different look as she was able to then do an overlapping run and just create more space and pull that defense along with her.
Sanchez, McKeown, back and forth they go. Sanchez, a little too much time to get started, and Howell was all over, so reverts to Sam Staub. Brooks, up that touch line. Helferty, foul.
Nice move there. Not much that Millay could do. Just kind of got exposed right there.
Now, this is only the 2nd season for Racing Louisville, but Millay has not missed a game for the club. She's been very consistent, a utility player, absolutely. They'll use her at pretty much any spot on the pitch. Wherever she's needed, she will go.
Yeah, Millay started on that back line for the Friday game. Then by Tuesday was up front. Then there were substitutions made. I believe that was the Nadim substitution, as a matter of fact. So Millay pushes back because Nadim came in. It might have been for Fox. To your point, just in one match alone, let alone in the 3 matches in the last stretch of days, we've seen the versatility of Malay.
For Davis, if she can get there, Staub boxing her out, and Staub will just float it out.
This look with Nadim, Davis, and Malay, but particularly Nadim and Davis up front, is just really giving Racing Louisville a completely different look than we saw, especially from the game against OL Reign.
Nadim puts on a cross, and it's too high.
She hit a post, just not quite the right post. A little high, a little deep.
Well, we don't have the score yet. Racing Louisville and Washington seeing good stretches for both sides, but nothing really of note scoring-wise.
I think the best chance we saw for Washington was that header by Rodman. Probably the best chance we saw from Racing Louisville was the Nadim look. But both keepers, Lund for Racing Louisville, and right here with the ball on her foot, Kingsbury for Washington, have been focused in the right position and have kept the sheet clean as of right now.
Bonner and Murray back and forth. Fox, lots of green as Washington is hanging back. No press from the Spirit today, or at least for now. Lester. O'Hara, last to touch, soars into the crowd.
Did see maybe about 5 or so minutes ago that Jess McDonald was one of the players making sure to get those legs warm. Not starting. Do wonder if we'll get to see McDonald and if there will be any overlap with Nadia Nadim, which again we mentioned last time these 2 teams played. Those 2 connected 4-2 for 2 goals. Nadim scored both. McDonald assisted.
O'Hara lowers her shoulder and fouls Savannah DeMello.
I'm I'm very confused as to how O'Hara believes she is the harmed party. Perhaps on the replay I'll have a change of heart. No. That's the other kind of football, in my estimation.
O'Hara barrels through Savannah DeMello, and now a free kick here for Racing Louisville. DeMello, we were talking to Bjorker, and he said this, that she gets fouled the most, and he thinks it's because people get frustrated with her.
Oh, absolutely.
Just how good she is. So DeMello will get an opportunity here. Again, another good position for Racing Louisville.
Yeah, she can give it as well, which is, something that you don't always see. That being said, she's properly a midfielder, or at least likes to play that midfield position. So you have to have a little more grit, perhaps, when you're in that midfield.
From DeMello to Bonner, and it's wide. Couldn't square her hips.
You see, again, if you are a lip reader, what Bonner thought about that. Knew that there was an opportunity there, as you mentioned, can't square around, but it was a different look on a free kick for Racing Louisville. Nice service in by DeMello.
Earlier this season, they connected for a set-piece goal. Bonner hit it off her heel and into the back of the net. So she's done it before, as we've got some more physicality here in this match. Howell. One thing about Howell that she has to be careful here. If she gets a yellow card, it would be her 5th one, which means she will have to sit the next match for Racing Louisville, which is next Friday against Houston.
That has potential to be a really great matchup between those 2 sides. Houston, a team that is really trying to remain in the hunt for one of those top 6 spots. Racing Louisville has a little more work to do, but if Racing Louisville plays to the potential that they know they have, and Houston does the same, we'll see them on Sunday. I think those 2 match up really well against each other, at their best.
Well, that could be a bit of a revenge game for Ebony Salmon as well, who was traded away from Racing Louisville a little bit earlier. And Salmon was just named to the best 11 team in the month of July. She's had quite the start with Houston, including a hat trick and a PK goal last week. So that should be a fun one storyline wise as well for Salmon. Just again, 21 years old. Racing Louisville has made a series of moves over the course of the year, including trading the rights of Tobin Heath to OL Reign. I mentioned Salmon, and then Cece Kaiser and Addison Merrick also got traded to Kansas City.
Yeah, the last two, more of a movement that served the player being from the area. We see that happen from time to time in this league. And it's always nice when clubs are able to accommodate that.
Lester, DeMello. Cross, Nadim has some time. Nadim ricochets off a couple of bodies there for Washington.
Not a clean look there for Nadim, but the right ideas. And so Racing Louisville now kind of on the other side of what they experienced against the OL Reign. Before, it was just about them surviving, and I was saying they did good just to earn a draw. They had to come from behind to get that goal. But in this match, they've had opportunities in the attacking third in that final, third, and have not been able to convert.
Well, credit to Racing Louisville. This does not look like a team that has played 3 games in the span of a week.
And I think some of that is just Kim Bjorkegren has done a good job of kind of mixing up the roster and the lineup here. 4 changes from this match, and there were 4 changes on Tuesday from Friday's match. So knowing his personnel, where they are fitness-wise, also just being thoughtful and mindful of, have they played international duty? Are they coming off of an injury and back from international duty? And so the technical staff has done a great job. Training staff done a great job.
Rodman. Dorian Bailey swings to the opposite side, and Amber Brooks waits for it and now settles here for the Spirit as Nadim coming in there for Racing Louisville. Dorian Bailey. Lots of time for Kelly O'Hara, but Murray breaks that up. Murray's been all over the pitch. Very, very strong performance for Murray again. She just joined the team and actually started to get playing time a couple of games ago. This is just her 3rd straight start for Racing Louisville.
And Murray, one of those players that's getting reacclimated, as we mentioned, being with the national team, and had talked about that after the draw with OL Reign, knowing that's something that she personally is working on. There are a few other players, as we've mentioned, that are working on that as well. But they're not using that as an excuse. They're professionals. They want to come in, and it's, next player up. Everyone on this squad is capable, and we've seen that in stretches. But again, Racing Louisville has the feeling that they've left some points on the table and now are committed to doing what they can to earn all the points outright and let the chips and points fall where they may regarding the playoffs, but control the destiny where they can.
Rodman intercepts, and here she comes. Trinity Rodman skating through the defense. Pass to Sanchez with her heel. Sanchez flicked it to Rodman. Rodman just off.
And we see that Rodman is attacking, and she's finding space on this left side, but is pulling toward the middle. In that opportunity, as you mentioned, kind of flicked that over with the heel, and that gave Sanchez the opportunity to switch the point of attack. Then where Rodman kind of did a bow out and overlap run, made herself available on what was now the opposite side of where she had started the attack. Really great run, kind of a football-esque, American football-esque route that she ran there, but it was effective, just not able to get that on frame.
Well, Trinity Rodman with that brace now has 4 goals. She ties Ashley Hatch, who is waiting on the bench right now for the most for a Washington player this year. interestingly enough, we talk about all the games that Washington has not been able to win. At least every time that Rodman has scored in 3 different games, they have come to a draw. So that's a positive. Good things happen somewhat when Trinity Rodman gets on the board.
Get at least a point.
Yes. But at this point, Washington can't really afford to get just a point. Draws are not going to cut it for Washington. If they want to make the playoffs, I mean, we say this every week with them, but it's starting to become very true. Washington has played the most games of anybody in the league right now. They've played 14 games, and so that means that after this match, they've only got 7 left to make the playoffs. And so, like I said, 3 points, really, I mean, we're getting to the point where they're going to have to win out.
Yeah, and Racing Louisville kind of in the same position, and they certainly feel that way.
O'Hara lunging for it. Howell. Lester, offside. I think, yes. Okay, Lester didn't know for a second.
I was still trying to keep that ball in play, but offside. Good job there by the Washington defense.
Well, we are approaching stoppage time here in the first half. We do not have a score between Racing Louisville and the Washington Spirit here in Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to get 4 minutes of stoppage time. Kingsbury trying to get something started. Lester bounces off her. McKeown in the box. Off a cross. Nobody home on the back post for McKeown.
The clock has stopped at 45 minutes. Additional time is being kept on the field. The center referee has added a minimum of 4 minutes in the first half.
Racing Louisville have been the aggressors in this game so far. That being said, they have been exposed a few times, especially later in this first half, by the Washington Spirit. Both teams, as we both have, waxed poetic, really need a point. They're not looking to draw anymore. So now it's all about which team is going to have impact players and the just kind of fight, dog mentality to really get after this match. So far, Racing Louisville has seemed up to the task.
Well, we've got a player down here for Racing Louisville in a lot of pain. It looks like Nadi Nadim. A little back and forth with Bailey. Seems like they might have collided.
Yes, it was away from the ball, but you saw both players immediately stop. And we're going to get the training staff coming out. We're going to see right here Nadim looking at the play, and then they bump. Looks like Nadim got caught square in the middle of the chest by Bailey. Kind of the shoulder, maybe the head area popped in there. But Nadim, again, looking and following the play. Bailey just trying to establish position on that back line.
Well, they have to check Dorian Bailey because it did hit her head. They went head-to-head on that one, or at least so it seems, and so they're both going to get checked out, and they will have to step off. Nadim still arguing her case. Seems like she had been gesturing that perhaps caught an elbow to the face. Play on here. Appears that both will be able to continue. Here's a corner from DeMello in the air for Bonner. And again, she's off target. But boy, I mean, that's what they're going for a lot of the times. Bonner through the air is probably their best weapon on those corner kicks. You see Bonner able to establish position, gets in front of Rodman there, but just misses wide. Nadim already back and making some noise here. Lester comes up for some pressure as well. One thing I'll say about Bonner is it can't be comfortable, even if you have a bandage, to have stitches and be heading the ball. That can't feel great. And nevertheless, she persists. DeMello. One final push maybe for Racing Louisville. Lester is left alone. Lester No shot yet. Davis diving for it. Nadim Kingsbury finally covers for Washington. Some mayhem in the box.
Great job there also by Sullivan, just kind of making herself, as we like to say on defense, big, making herself wide so that Nadim couldn't get to that ball. It was just kind of rolling in the like clang, clang here, clang there. Oh my. No one could get a foot on it. Took Kingsbury to clean it up.
Right now, Racing Louisville has 8 shots compared to 3 for Washington, yet they both just have 1 on target. Murray to Lund. Don't think she knew that McKeown was charging forward. Baggett. Howell. Emily Fox. Rodman gets in front of that. Sanchez. Tap to Sullivan. Looking for options now. Bailey through the middle. Dorian Bailey again. Wide to Sanchez. Howell playing some defense. Sanchez breaking some ankles here. Off to Sullivan. Excuse me, that's Baggett. O'Hara. There's Baggett again. Trinity Rodman. Lester's done a pretty solid job against Rodman today. Davis, did that hit her hand? Yes.
Not much Davis could do there. That ball is kind of rolling around and rolls up on her. But wow, what a nice little curl to that service to Davis. And had she been able to get just a little bit more of a step here, I mean, just look at that beautiful bounce. Great job there by the Washington defense, able to recover and get something on that. I believe it was Staub who at that last second was able to get a boot on the ball, which forced that ball to curl up, got the handball against Davis.
So we've played one half of action between Racing Louisville and Washington. We don't have a score yet. Thoughts on this one so far, Erica?
So far, I think we've seen Katie Lund come up with a big save. Kingsbury also made a handful of saves. That has been the difference in this game. Both sides, but particularly Washington, has found some seams that I'm very curious to see if they will continue to attack in the second half. Racing Louisville, though, has really controlled the possession and is pressing a lot, but is not finding that final touch.
We'll see if someone can get that final touch here in the second half. We'll take a break here in Louisville, Kentucky, and back for the second half between Racing and Spirit after this. Welcome back as we get ready to start the second half. Washington Spirit racing Louisville, scoreless so far. Again, we've played one half of action here at Lynn Family Stadium. Alongside Erica Ayala, I'm Maura Sheridan. And Erica, I mean, there's been some opportunities for both sides. We've seen 8 shots for Louisville, 3 shots for Washington, just 1 on target for each side, but no one has been able to actually bury a goal yet.
Yeah, and again, both of these sides need a win if they have any chance at the postseason. So essentially, we're looking for it to pick up, and in a big way in this second half. We saw what Washington can do in a second half. That did not yield a win, but they did get 3 goals.
Absolutely, and we saw Racing Louisville the last time around these two teams played. I mean, really, it was after the 60th minute when Nadia Nadim came in and scored 2 goals. So these two teams have a tendency sometimes to get going a little bit late, and we'll see if that's the case here as well, because we've mentioned this before, but 13 games without a win for Washington. For Racing Louisville, it's 9. And something else to note, as first of all, we should mention that Ashley Hatch is about to come in. That's a huge sub for Washington. But as I was going to say, 3 points for Washington and Racing Louisville are on the table. And at some point, I wonder if you kind of have to take some risks, because you have to win. It's like we said, draws aren't going to cut it anymore. So they really do have to, I don't know, maybe mix it up, take some risks, go for some things they wouldn't go for. I don't know. I'm not a coach, but it seems like that might be in the cards starting now.
Excellent point there, and just let's give the scenario since we're going into the second half. But with a win, that would move Racing Louisville into 8th place. Top 6 have a shot for the playoffs. A Washington win would move them into 8th and again be their first win since May 1. But if it's a tie, Louisville stays at 9, Washington would move to 10th. So that's what happens just if the points are disseminated. Of course, an outright win would help the squad that gets the 3 points and not so much the squad that doesn't.
Well, this is good news for Washington that Ashley Hatch is healthy enough to go here in the second half. She will replace Anna Helferty, and Hatch, of course, has 4 goals for Washington this year. She had the Golden Boot last year, recently won an ESPY for Best NWSL Player. Ashley Hatch is the real deal. They'll put her in that 9 spot, and she can play through the air and obviously good in the box as well for Washington. Just a pure scorer.
Yep, and, that's where you make strategic moves to, as you mentioned, try to get something going here and really take some risks. Now, I wouldn't call Ashley Hatch a risk, but I would call her an impact player that can definitely start the second half off, give your team a new look as you look to, in the case of Washington in particular, I don't think they've really been able to put, as I like to say, their stank on this match just yet. They have not identified just yet how they want this match to play out for them. I think Racing Louisville has done a better job of that. So we'll see if inserting Hatch will yield some dividends. And already we're seeing better possession from Washington to start this second half.
DeMello trying to get it back for Racing Louisville. Sullivan ahead to Trinity Rodman off the bounce. Back to Sullivan. Hatch got hurt with the U.S. Women's National Team in CONCACAF play. Really unfortunate for her because she didn't get to stay with the team, and so came back to Washington to get healthy, and now she is making her first appearance since international play. Malay in the midfield off to Emily Fox. Up that wing, Nadim lays off. Lester. DeMello. Kelly O'Hara with the pickup here for the Spirit. No changes for Racing Louisville quite yet. I would think if we're going to see McDonald probably be around the 60th minute. That's where Bjorkgren tends to sub in his forwards.
We'll see what changes are made to get McDonald in the game. Will Nadim make space? We've seen Malay again be able to drop down.
Davis has a chance, blocked by Kingsbury. Aubrey Kingsbury times that perfectly.
You saw Washington appealing for offsides either way on that, but an opportunity there created by Racing Louisville.
Howell. Sanchez will swipe for the Spirit. Sullivan in the midfield.
Both sides with giveaways in quick succession right there in the midfield. Both managers talked about the midfield battle being pretty important. That has certainly been the case. Again, this is the third match for Racing Louisville. Friday, Tuesday, and again today. And so really have wanted their midfielders to get a little bit more engaged throughout, but turnovers is definitely not what you want to see.
Kingsbury. Again, just stonewalled Davis. She's had to do that a couple of times. Baggett. Amber Brooks. Chris Ward has talked about players like Dorian Bailey and Baggett. You know, how he was very happy that they were finally able to get healthy. Baggett was out with a concussion after a very scary injury in the Challenge Cup final. She missed a lot of time because of that, and again, got healthy while everyone else was on international duty. And so there is an aspect to this for Washington of just trying to mesh for the first time, and they're figuring it out in real time, not in training. I mean, they're figuring it out in these matches because, you know, we're halfway, more than halfway for Washington through the NWSL season right now.
Yeah, and don't necessarily want to do that, but these injuries are a part of the game. Unfortunately, we've had a decent amount of season-ending injuries for just throughout the NWSL. Sam Ewis, the latest to be officially announced, of course playing for the KC Current. So that's a part of the adjustments that you have to make in any given season. It's not the ones that you like. No one wants to see players out with injury, especially for an extended period of time. But it is a part of that next player up mentality and knowing your personnel, being able to get the best performance out of players. Also knowing, in the case of, for example, like a Malay, where you can ask players to step up and give your squad a different look at any given time. And those kind of utility Swiss Army knife players are always great to have on a roster.
There's Ashley Hatch. Takes off. Dorian Bailey. Hatch is at her best when she's the point of that diamond for Washington. Again, 4 goals. Fox. Behind to Katie Lund. Katie Lund in net for Racing Louisville. Each keeper has had to make 1 really solid save so far. Chip for Davis. Can she get the edge on Snob? Kirsten Davis. Nadim. Top of the box. Nadia Nadim scores! Goal number 4 for Nadia Nadim, and Racing Louisville takes the lead.
Nothing overcomplicated about that. That service in, I don't think Nadim particularly liked her first touch, was able to recover, puts her head up, sees what's available, and caught Washington slipping. Gave her just enough time, just enough space, but look at this ball in here. We see Davis able to win this, cuts it back, gets it to the feet of Nadim. She's playing with it, doesn't have a great first touch, but nobody, 3 players right there. I think O'Hara, probably closest, but they don't close in on Nadim, even as she has that unclean first touch. You can't give Nadia Nadim space, because that's what happens.
Again, Nadim has been so efficient in her time with Racing Louisville. right before international break, she returned from injury. She scored 2 goals in 3 games. And finally she gets one after 3 games back here from international break in her time with Denmark in the Euros. So 2 games without a goal. What a long stretch for Nadine Nadim as she again puts Racing Louisville up 1-0. Washington will see if they have any sort of response. Bailey. Again, Washington went up 3 times against North Carolina and then gave up that tying goal. So they weren't down at all last week.
We'll also see how Racing Louisville can do holding a lead. It's been a little bit of a problem for them at times. Getting on that front foot, but not being able to close out a match.
Rodman tries to go 5-hole on Malay. Malay, small but mighty, Lauren Malay.
Quick too, as we saw earlier in the first half.
DeMello, back to Sam Stomp for Washington.
Smart play there by Sullivan, just kind of bumps DeMello out, didn't give her any room to make a run on that. Maybe trying to lead that ball ahead for herself. DeMello can also get off to the races there.
Hatch on the wing, Lester, and Katie Lund in net. Of course, Racing Louisville just in year 2 as a new club in the NWSL, but traditionally they've had some problems. You can call it a tradition in not even 2 years between these 2 clubs. With Washington, of course, Washington won the NWSL championship last year. Here comes Trinity Rodman. Here's her chance for the equalizer, and she skies it over the crossbar.
Yikes, you see that Rodman had Lund coming out. Maybe could have cut this across, but just couldn't get the right angle or the right pace on that ball. As you mentioned, goes right over that crossbar. But good job, Katie Lund, knowing that she had to come out as Malay was retreating, wasn't going to catch Rodman, and she comes direct. That's what you want to do. Make that striker make a decision, and had a good angle, and that goes right over the crossbar. So again, and we talked about this a little bit on air and off air at halftime, but maybe that challenge that Bjorkegren gave to Katie Lund after that Portland game, I believe it was against Portland before they played OL Reign, talked about Katie Lund being one of his players that made just a small little mistake, took their eye off the ball, foot off the gas, and that was the difference. Not just in that match, but throughout. Anytime they've been right there, it's just those small little mistakes. We have not seen Katie Lund make any mistakes since those comments.
Yeah, again, a game and a half and then some for Katie Lund. She's been outstanding, 12 saves in the last match. Had to make a couple here, and even if it's just minuscule things like you just talked about, Erica, she's been on top of her game. Well, she'll have to face a challenge here, a free kick coming for Washington. Again, Sanchez is often the one to take that. Sullivan is up top as well, and everybody gets ready for Racing Louisville, trying to avoid the equalizer. That's Fox there with the illegal tackle.
And you see that just gets tangled up there with McKeown. That's a pretty easy call there. I think that Fox was just trying to run through that ball, but McKeown does a good job of stopping, establishing position, and then that's an easy call to make. Gives her team now an opportunity on a restart here.
Well, Katie Lund in net, Ashley Sanchez. You see that wall for Racing Louisville. Sanchez and Lund makes the grab right to her. Really had to move a little bit to her left, but considering some of the stops that Katie Lund has made, that one of the easier ones.
Now we see Sanchez going there, as you mentioned, makes Katie Lund move a little bit, but I don't think there was enough on that ball to really make Lund spill it. You do see that she let that ball drop, but there was no one that was going to get there with enough time to challenge Lund there. So, a good idea, but maybe just not enough sauce on it.
Tackle. Davis. Brooks is back. Kingsbury. Again, Nadia Nadim has the lone goal in this game for Racing Louisville. Took the lead here in the second half. It was a 52nd minute strike for Nadim.
It's a nice little flick on. I know we were just talking about Nadim, but a nice little play there by Rodman. Just couldn't connect with anyone there. Had McEwen there, but couldn't get there.
Malay charging towards the box. Service, back post, a little ahead of Nadim.
Nadim with a thumbs up, liked the idea. Malay gives one back. Good idea there, just didn't quite have the placement that they wanted, but seeing something is Racing Louisville and trying to expose it. That's what they have to continue to do. That's what at some points throughout this season they haven't been able to do. I think they have remained on that front foot, as I like to say, all gas, no brakes, and have been able to find their opportunities. That finish at times is not there, though. And DeMello, just that aggressive, explosive speed that she has, can catch you sleeping, and Sullivan is going to get called here. DeMello makes a move, kind of catches Sullivan there, able to expose an opportunity now for her squad to start on a free kick on a reset here.
Well, DeMello can be a menace in the best possible way, and DeMello will take a free kick. Again, Racing Louisville up 1-0. Kingsbury prepared for Washington. Savannah DeMello floats this one. Looked like it was intended for Howell, and Kingsbury had that squared all the way.
Kingsbury saw that, as you mentioned, was able to come out and get it. Maybe a little bit too much air on that one, as you said, looking for Howell. But Washington did a good job of really picking up bodies in the box and making a clear path for Kingsbury to collect that no problem.
Well, there's a chance here that Racing Louisville gets one of every possible outcome this week, as Sanchez rips a shot from deep and hits the top of the netting. Sanchez just going for it there for Washington.
Why not? You know, I think Katie Lund had a pretty good handle on where that was going to be, but anyone who's ever played outfield, baseball, softball, cricket, you know, sometimes those floaters are the hard ones to judge. And so, again, giving the keeper, or making the keeper, I should say, have to make a decision, have to make a save. At this point, Washington needs something. Maybe she spills it. Maybe she misjudges it. So I'm not mad at it. Didn't expect too much of it, but not mad at it. But then also what you do is you keep that Racing Louisville defense, you keep them honest and let them know that you will shoot from there. So they have to push up. Maybe that gives you a seam later on in the match.
Hatch. Bailey. The one thing here for Washington is they probably don't want Hatch to come back as much as she is right now, but it's a necessity for the Spirit. Staub. Kingsbury. Oh, some friendly fire. Murray and Howell. Murray slow to get up, and Trinity Rodman is going the other way for Washington in the area. Rodman crosses it. Lund with a beautiful tap. You could see the visible frustration from Mickey Young because Lund is just making everything so difficult right now, and Murray's fine, apparently. That was a hard fall.
Yeah, as you said, friendly fire, maybe just a little bit of miscommunication there. Almost led to an opportunity for Washington, but now they, in that final third, in that attacking, could not get a final foot on that and get past Lund. I think that was a really dangerous opportunity. Completely had Racing Louisville exposed. They did just enough, though, to get bodies there and make it a little bit difficult for Washington and Rodman in particular as they were coming in transition with numbers.
Well, one thing about Washington, yes, they scored 3 goals against North Carolina, and they tend to do that, but prior to that, for some reason, just the North Carolina games take them away because they've been absolutely crazy. They're averaging 4 goals per game in 5 meetings this year across the Challenge Cup. So if you remove those games, because the other one was 3-2, Washington struggling to score. They're averaging just 1 goal per game. In fact, prior to that North Carolina game, they've been shut out twice in a row.
Yeah, that's a very interesting stat. Sometimes you just the blood, seems to pump just a little bit faster for certain opponents. And you know, in a handful of seasons leading up to this season, that was a pretty good matchup. Washington versus North Carolina has not manifested in this regular season, in particular in this 10th regular season of the NWSL.
Hatch puts it on and scores! Ashley Hatch out of nowhere, the equalizer.
What an odd little play there, especially because that ball looked to roll up, but I think Louisville got a little bit dazed and confused there. There was no whistle. They did not play on. Ashley Hatch did. Equalizer.
So now she passes Trinity Rodman for the most goals on the team. That's 5 for Hatch. Let's take another look at this play. You're right, it was sort of odd.
Yeah, you see that ball rolled up there, and it almost just looked as though, you know, Racing Louisville just got their wires crossed. That was Bonner that was there on the far side, and then Murray got caught behind Bonner instead of pushing up. And a pretty simple, akin to Nadia Nadim, quite honestly, just ball lands at your feet, you take a shot, and for whatever reason, that's the shot. Not overthinking it, just doing what you need to do. And here we are, level, 1 goal aside.
So, again, Hatch is back, and she scores immediately, pretty much. Almer has checked in the game. Bailey Feist will come in. Sullivan will come out. And so we'll bag it for Washington. So those are your 2 subs. See Chris Ward there, happy with the response for Washington.
Yeah, it was hard to see on that particular replay, but it did look like that ball rolled up, and it looked like at least some of the players, perhaps for Racing Louisville, were expecting something there. Never came, and again, Ashley Hatch had that space. Bonner was marking up, and it was the only other defender that would have been there in striking distance to Ashley Hatch would have been Murray, although I'm not sure she would have really been able to contest with enough time before Ashley Hatch was able to get that shot off.
Just a bouncer to Lund.
But speaking of, I'd been, singing Lund's praises about just being in the right position. That seemed like just such a simple ball in, and I'm not exactly sure where the cross-up was, where Lund wasn't able to fully see that. I'm not sure if she was perhaps shielded by Murray again, who I mentioned was a little bit far back there, but Washington will take it. That's what we know.
DeMello head-to-head with Almer. No call. Oh, we get one now. It'll be a free kick for Racing Louisville.
We talked about it before. DeMello is definitely a target. I mean, there was no denying what the intent was there. Just trying to pull DeMello down. Pressing down on her shoulder there as she was making that run, her inside shoulder. That would be her right shoulder. So now DeMello over this ball.
The rookie, Malay, on the wing. Nice touch. Off to Emily Fox, denied by Bailey Feist, who just came in the game for Washington. Chris Ward always has nice things to say about Bailey Feist, and just the fact that she's willing to play whatever role, sort of like Malay, is needed from her. She's not going to change positioning, but sometimes they'll start her, sometimes they won't, and now that they have a lot of players back, they're not going to start Feist as much, but she's happy to come in the second half and, add some depth to this Washington team. And so Ward is, again, just singing Feist's praises any chance that he has or can get. Murray. DeMello. To Davis. Davis trying to tuck it in the corner. Not enough juice on that one.
Couldn't get those hips around. We've talked about that a bunch of times before. But just a heads-up play there by Racing Louisville. They're able to win this over. DeMello gets it to Kirsten Davis. She had such a great run. Went right at OL Reign and their back line was able to get that goal for them, and that's why they walked away with a point. Otherwise, we're pretty much pummeled in every other statistical category except for goals against OL Reign. And Kirsten Davis made that run against Alana Cook, who's a great defensive player, but where Racing Louisville was able to retrieve the ball just didn't give Cook any angle. Davis did a great job just running directly at her. Just a fantastic play. And I keep mentioning it because I think it's easy to just take for granted that run, but it was just such a smart run by Davis.
Another sub for Racing Louisville, it's Alex Chidiak. Chidiak will replace Freya Olofsson. Chidiak scored against Portland. Seemed like that was going to be a draw, and then Sugita scored the game winner for the Thorns.
Sugita, what a goal that was. Again, an opportunity that laid right at Sugita's feet, and Racing Louisville didn't have anyone to apply pressure. But the Chidiak goal, my goodness, that was just a fantastic goal. Was on that goal line, dances on the goal line, and there was just a slither of space that Bella Bixby had between that near post. Left just enough space for Chidiak, who now checks into the match officially for, as you mentioned, Olofsson. Chidiak was able to find that space, and that was, at the time, the equalizer until the Sugita goal that you mentioned. But we heard from Bjorkegren that Chidiak plays.
Tapped in, it's Bonner! Is that gonna count? She might have been offside.
From the boos of the home crowd and howl and the indignation that she's expressing, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, offside there. Quick start here by Washington. But Chidiak, type of player, Australian, that kind of likes to possess and has had to learn how to be a little bit more of a playmaker, and that was a perfect example. DeMello once again taken down, and you can kind of surmise that DeMello is a little bit tired of being taken down, maybe looking for a card. That's the second time in a handful of minutes that she's been taken down. This time, quick start for Racing Louisville. They're not going to try to set anything up there.
Malay keeps it in, cross, doesn't get through. Bailey. Hatch. Towel on her back. And Ashley Hatch has the equalizer. Murray heads it down. Almer came in as a sub for Washington. Trinity Rodman. Haven't said her name in a heartbeat. Almer. Chidiak. Bonner just had her goal called back. It would have been a game changer. Again, it's been 9 games for Racing Louisville without a win. They've got 5 losses in there as well. DeMello. On the flip side for Washington, they've been waiting 3 months for victory number 2. 3 months for Washington.
And we know this Washington side had quite a tumultuous time in the past few seasons. But, in speaking to Chris Warner when he spoke to us on the coaches call, said that had a completely different feel, almost like everything was just toxic from within. This is a different feel for this Washington side, but almost a giveaway straight to Nadia Nadim. Kingsbury booted that right to Nadim, but that came with such pace that Nadim really couldn't get a handle on it. But we talked about the little mistakes. That could have been a costly one, especially with the likes of Nadia Nadim right there.
Here's Nadim. lone score in this half for Racing Louisville. It's Lester. Burst of speed. Tries to find Chidiak, and Almer turns the other way for Washington. Now in transition, here comes Trini Rodman, full speed ahead. This is the last thing you want. She's got Sanchez in the box. Ashley Sanchez back to Rodman. She's open. Trini Rodman, but Lund blocks it again.
This was another great run by Rodman because DeMello is retreating on the trail, and you'll see that Rodman, as she gets this ball, that's DeMello trailing. She was gonna cut center and then starts to pull so that she has to force DeMello either to stay central or try to cut all the way across. Doesn't give DeMello enough time to make it over to Sanchez, who makes this pass. Rodman right there, but Lund, great. Again, anticipation, great just presence and placement, body placement for Katie Lund, and really does a great job of keeping her squad in this game.
Staub off the corner kick towards the back post. Sanchez taps it out right outside the box. Saved on the goal line. That was DeMello. Body's flying around right now as Trinity Rodman is slow to get up here.
You see her teammates making sure there wasn't a friendly fire stampede as Rodman slipped, and you definitely want to make sure that Rodman is good to go. Such a great opportunity she just created there for this Washington side. They just got an equalizer from Ashley Hatch, the substitute in the second half. Now looking to see if they can finally pull ahead.
Rodman. Fox reads well. Big clear. Davis, if she can get there. Davis. O'Hara. O'Hara with maybe a little bit of a rip. Nadeem Brooks was in front of that one.
And very interesting because O'Hara, again, looked like was intentionally trying to pull Davis down, but now Washington on the counter.
Bonner lays her body on the line.
The one demerit I would give as Chidiak wins this ball back and Racing Louisville looks to settle things that I would give to Racing Louisville on that attack. You did have Nadeem, but the spacing was a little bit too tight. I believe that it was Malay that they had. If they had just switched the attack to this side that we're on now, where DeMello is on the left-hand side, I think they could have gotten a better look.
Bailey saw Howell down on the pitch there off that tackle. Rodman on this right side. Malay has some time to get back. Rodman for Ashley Sanchez. Sanchez, can she get there? No, Lund is there first.
This game is starting to open up. We knew it had to. Both of these sides absolutely need a win. Will not, cannot, for the sake of their playoff hopes, have a draw.
So it looks like Sanchez is just maybe a little out of breath, just walking very slowly up the pitch right now.
And it looked like Fox was making way in case the officials wanted to blow the play dead. They did not. Unfortunately, then have a giveaway, unable to connect with Nadeem. Still have not seen Jess McDonald in this match yet.
Foul against Racing Louisville. Kelly O'Hara tangled up with Lester, and Lester's going to get a card.
O'Hara's very good at being able to draw fouls here. O'Hara keeps this off the line, and you see O'Hara feels that pressure. Felt Lester coming on the shoulder. That's a good indication that you have. And we were just talking about McDonald, but just to finish that, it's a good indication if you are essentially, in hockey you'd call it a back check. If if you're being back-checked from behind, you feel the defender try to grab you at the shoulder. O'Hara felt that, made an abrupt stop, and it's an easy foul to call. Very good play there by O'Hara, while still maintaining her run, but wanted to make sure that she got tangled up with Lester there, give her team an opportunity now to advance this ball forward. And got a yellow card. I personally would argue that hip check that O'Hara gave was probably the closest to yellow I personally saw in this match, but it's the point being that it's starting to get physical, which is another thing that we kind of expected the way this game was playing out, and knowing that these sides need and want a win, bound to get physical. And so we're starting to see some substitutions here. We'll see how these subs impact the game.
Mickey Owen will come out. Tanea Alexander is going to come in for Washington. So again, some fresh legs up top for both sides. And obviously with McDonald, she is one of the top goal scorers in history of the NWSL, and she's got a pair of goals this year. But the thing that McDonald does better than anyone else is distribute. In history of the NWSL, she's got 30 career assists and 3 this year with Racing Louisville. So in terms of what you would want to see from her, I think the connection with Nadim, there they are, would be her best bet. Nadia Nadim up that touch line. You see McDonald racing towards the box right now for Racing Louisville.
And the defense was there. And we mentioned this before, but now with McDonald in, she came in for Howell. So I believe they dropped Malay back to have McDonald up. So you've got McDonald now, probably Malay as that midfield, and then Fox, that's your left side for Racing Louisville at the moment. Presumably.
Through the air, Bonner. That was Lester who got a head on it, and Brooks is able to clear back to Murray. Again, even at 1 between Washington and Racing Louisville. Nadia Nadim struck first, and then Hatch responded for Washington. A corner is on the way for Racing Louisville.
Malay does all of the little things that Racing Louisville needs in a match. Oftentimes, you're not going to notice just the hustle plays, the extra effort, and of course, the versatility that we've mentioned for Malay, but just a really great contributor to this Racing Louisville side.
From DeMello, nothing much. Just going to bounce back to Savannah DeMello. Lester. Alexander all over her. Malay has some space in the middle. Sends it out wide to Nadim. Nadim takes a shot. Kingsbury with a beautiful stop. Another opportunity. DeMello, Kingsbury again.
Wow. What a save by Kingsbury. Might be the best one we've seen in the match. But once again, Nadia Nadim finds that ball at her feet. It seemed like she had time to collect and really square up, get the spin that she wanted, the curve that she wanted, the pace that she wanted on that shot. And if not for Kingsbury, Louisville might be up 2-1.
Rodman, Brooks, Chris Ward, animated on the sideline right now. Malay. Foul against Racing Louisville. It's Washington ball.
DeMello did challenge that late.
Rodman. Malay denies. Here comes Malay. Rodman. Full speed ahead to get back. Nadim. Rodman. Clean. All ball. That's what Pagan says, the referee today. Obviously, Racing Louisville fans disagree.
It's getting spicy. That's a tough one. I'd want to see that on the replay for sure. And this is where Nadia Nadim, being such just an aggressive player here, I'm not sure that Rodman got the ball, but I also am not sure that there was enough contact, in fairness.
Agreed.
I think Nadim did well to try and sell it, for sure, but I'm okay with that.
Alexander has an opening here for Washington. McDonald. I mean, that's not where she plays, but she did what she had to do.
Both teams need 3 points. They want it. And everyone's going to contribute. McDonald now has fresh legs here. Now, this is, again, where we go back to Kim Bjorkegren and the just changes in the starting 11, but then also the substitutions that he's done from Friday to Tuesday to now Friday once again, where you can have McDonald making that run. Nadim still working her way up to a full 90, still in this match, but I think we are starting to see the fatigue and the frustration come in for Nadia Nadim. We see...
Well, Nadim wants to go. I don't think that she was supposed to go that quickly.
Now we'll see if that becomes a factor, as just to finish up that thought. Fatigue and frustration don't always lead to the best choices. And Nadim's already a little bit of a firecracker.
DeMello. Emily Fox. It has been a grueling season for both of these sides. Wins have been few and far between. That could change today. 3 points on the line for Washington and Racing Louisville as we trend towards the end of this match in Kentucky.
We still have some time in regulation, maybe a couple minutes if I had to eyeball it in stoppage, but I don't think we'll see, at least as a little bit of a slip there. That couldn't have felt good for Hatch. I'm not sure, at least as of right now, even with the substitutions, that we'll see too much stoppage time. So all the more reason for these teams to really attack in the next 5 minutes here, see what they can get going.
To be honest, this game kind of feels like it has knockout potential, and in the bad way here. 3 points again on the line. McDonald with a cross to Nadim over the crossbar, almost headed home. Nadia Nadim inches away.
Nadim maybe got grazed there. What a service, though. Nadim, I should say McDonald, excuse me, head up. Nadim, oh, wow. Just a great service in. Nadim, wow, just missed tucking that under the crossbar. Ho-ho! But if I'm not mistaken, that was Staub on defense. Really had Nadim marked the whole way. Good on Nadim to even get ahead on that at all. But Staub made that as difficult as humanly possible.
We've seen some openings for both sides. Alexander just had a pretty decent run. Feist rips a shot, and Lund has it saved. As Feist down on the pitch.
And Racing Louisville played that through, but not without a few looks and probably words, definitely gestures, as they thought that was offside. Got to be careful, though, especially with time ticking away. Can't afford to slip up. Just play that out.
Sanchez is down and gives Washington a chance to talk things over. As again, Ashley Sanchez getting some attention here from the training staff.
It's the second time we've seen Sanchez, have to take a moment to recuperate. First time we've seen the training staff come out. Also looks like her tracker popped out of place. But something to keep an eye on. Again, lots of minutes these players have been putting on. Sanchez in this game from the start for Washington. You've seen Nadim guzzling down some water. Seems as though Washington provided it. Don't see that too often.
Well, everyone just got to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
I guess. It is 85 degrees in Louisville, Kentucky. Not particularly comfortable, but yes, Nadim is, first of all, Nadim's just a veteran. She knows what she has to do, and had some great scoring opportunities. She does have the 1 goal for Racing Louisville, and she's come very close to getting a brace.
Wow, that header, wow, something to behold. Had that gone in. Oof.
Lund through the air all the way down to McDonald. It lands, and McDonald just kind of whiffs on it. Sounds like Amina Ekic is waiting for Racing Louisville. She is certainly a weapon they could use right now. Nadim skirts her way into the box, rips a shot. Oh, that was a bad angle, and somehow it almost went in for Nadim.
Something out of nothing. The team looking over. I think she's feeling it, but they're trying to work her up to 90.
So Amina Ekic is going to come in for Kirsten Davis. Amina Ekic, of course, is a hometown hero here in Louisville. She's from here. She went to high school here. She went to college here. And now she plays professional soccer here. Ekic also has a goal this season already, a very young star that Louisville is hoping can replace Davis and, you know, just add some momentum.
Ekic was a substitute, on that Tuesday match as well. And, you know, that was a really tight game down to the wire, as it looks as this one will be as well. And again, with Sanchez going down, probably added to that stoppage that we were kind of predicting. But Amina Ekic coming in late in this game tells me that Racing Louisville is still trying to get after it here. Again, cannot overstate that both sides desperately need a win, want to get the 3 points. We get 4 minutes of stoppage. DeMello. Kind of an odd play. Not sure that everyone for Racing Louisville was necessarily set up, but they win the ball back here.
Malay. Emily Fox, not on the same page with Malay, goes behind, and Ward trying to go quickly here for Washington. Off to Ashley Hatch. Hatch gets by Lester, and then skies over Chidiac, who put on a clean tackle. Totally incidental there, and Chidiac with some good sportsmanship.
Great play by Chidiac to disrupt that, because Ashley Hatch made a nice little play and was off to the races, if not for Chidiac.
Bailey. Staub. Corner.
Chidiac showing some defensive prowess here.
Perhaps a young NWSL star in the stands making that grab. Staub and company looking for a stoppage time finish. Washington, Louisville, square at 1. Staub. Lund again. Just so solid. And now she wants to roll it out quickly to McDonald. There is not a lot of time left, as here comes Ekic. Passes a little off from McDonald. O'Hara. Feist stumbles. Aubrey Kingsbury out to O'Hara. Sanchez looks good to go. Got a little rattled in this half. Hatch. Sanchez. Alexander offside.
Immediately saw Racing Louisville ready to protest had Alexander been in cleanly. Not the case.
From Lund. Nadim. Lester. McDonald. Nadim's up. McDonald just bounces Alexander off her body. Now McDonald. Kingsbury cuts it off. Well, that's a veteran saying, "Get out of my way, rookie."
Pretty much. think Ludacris had a song to that effect. Yeah, I think that was a good no call there. Ball's kind of bouncing around.
Danger for Washington. Sanchez, Lund off her goal line, and it bounces wide.
What is this match? Lund absolutely out to dry. You saw Fox retreating, hoping to get back. Just great pressure by Washington. I believe that was Hatch. That lands at the feet of Sanchez, but nothing to it. Wow. Almost seems like a crime should this match end in a draw, but it's hard to imagine that there's much time for anything other than.
A hop to Lund. Being told to go quickly. And there's a final whistle in this one. Again, no victory for either side. The troubles continue. Yes, it's a point. Yes, it's a draw, but that is not what these two sides needed. Racing Louisville now 10 games without a win, and for Washington, it's 14 games without a win. A hard-fought battle for Washington and Racing Louisville, but 3 points were there and no one got it.
I said Tuesday's match, Racing Louisville probably felt good and accomplished, if we're being honest, just to get the draw. That's not the case tonight. They get the first goal. You can see it. Nadia Nadim absolutely gassed, falls to the ground, also probably in some frustration. But that substitute right there, Ashley Hatch, got the equalizer, disrupted Racing Louisville, who had the pressure, had the possession. But it was that one goal, that equalizer by Ashley Hatch, that was the game changer. And then after that, neither side, they had their opportunities, but neither side could convert and get that second goal.
Again, final score 1-1. Washington and Racing Louisville play to a draw. That will do it for us here in Kentucky. From Erica Ayala, I'm Maura Sheridan saying so long. Have a great night, everyone.